So I decided to light this thing up. So ordered up a L39 and A10 LED light kits from Motion, as well as the LED lens kit for the L39 and one of the plastic kits for the A10. The A10 comes with two wing tip covers, lens covers, as well as two fuselage lights. First one I've already installed, the top of the fuselage in the 33 here. It was one of the A10 lights. It's got a long enough cable to bring it all the way forward. And one of the two bubble type lens covers from the A10 kit. And underneath here, center here, is the trough for all the wires for your elevator and your rudders. And it just runs right along the center, comes underneath. It's about, half an inch in, I guess, if not that. And just open it up big enough for the lens. I will ferret in a little bit better, sand it in, paint it to match. And the wire just comes forward. And I brought it up, plugged it into the strobe, one of the strobe positions on the blue box. And it works fine, and I'll show it later. And next up, I'm trying to work on the tip tanks. So tip tanks that got pulled off. Over here sitting on the counters, work table. These are the two from the, again, A10. And it has quite a long lens. One nice thing about it, it has a pocket that's built into it for the LED light for the nav side. But what I'm going to do is I'll put the nav light here, but I'm going to bury one of the landing lights, the L39 landing lights here, put it on a strobe with a double flash. So the nav light will be on the whole time, and then the strobe light will be on, flashing, double flash on each side. So did both sides. Again, I just used the holes, the mounting holes, to get my center lines set up on it. Didn't quite work out like I wanted it to, so I decided to use a couple of post-it notes. Let me get a couple here and I'll show you how I did that. All right, so as you can see, I used two post-it notes. I took a little bit of the stickiness off on my shirt just to make sure I didn't pull any paint. They're not real sticky, but just in case. Line those up with the top and the bottom of the mounting holes, and it's just about the right size for those A10 lenses to line them up straight. And after I did that, held it in place, traced around it, and then with a ruler, double checked it across the bottom of the holes and created a center line using the looking through the mounting holes to where the screws go through. With a little bit of an angle, I made sure it was straight, so I used that to get a center line across the middle of my markings, just to make sure it was centered up and was straight between the holes. I think they're pretty close, so it'll work for now. Well, they're pretty much in and ready to go now, but they appeared to be straight in line between the holes, straight with the tank, and straight from down the fin. So I'm happy with them where they're at now. That'll be their final positions. So now I have to drill and remove the material in behind the lens to get the lights in. Trying not to chew up too much of the foam on the outside of the tank here. I don't want to have to do too much spackling. And we'll get those wires run into the opening where it has the tank, or excuse me, the wing mounts, upside down of course. And so it's about in the center, a little bit toward aft the center where the lenses are at. The full-size T-33, the lights are actually quite a bit aft on the tank, but I didn't want to go too far back and interfere with the mounting. So there is a piece of wood I'm finding out in here that is buried about halfway in, I guess. So I guess they're using that for some strength. So next step, I'll make the hole to come through, bring the wires through, and might open that up a little bit more, and we'll see where they will come in and fit down on the wing tip itself, and try to figure out where those wires are going to be run alongside the other servo wires in the wing to get it into the fuselage for either the blue box, or run an extension and come all the way up into the radio area. So I'm going to run the nav lights into the wing connectors that are already there for all the items for the ailerons and the flaps and such. But they've got takeoff light and lights already built into the wings, but they're not used. So I'm going to go ahead and tap into the nav light positions, and that'll bring it to the blue board, and I won't have to bring the wire all the way up to the blue board. All I have to do is just mount the wing control board, and it'll be good to go. The strobes will have to come all the way in. They do not go through that wing control board, so I'll have to bring an extension up to the blue box from the wing. So I'll have to add a couple wires to come all the way up there, maybe work in a couple of quick connects there so I can remove the wings if I have to. So that's next up, and that's where I'm going now, so we'll catch it up here in just a little bit. Okay, well, disassembled the airplane again, pulled the wings off, and have opened up the wire slots in the wings. So I went through and pulled the tape off that covers all these, and of course it pulled the paint. Kind of knew that was coming, so did my best to keep the tape in good shape, and I'll put it back down with some adhesive, some kind of adhesive, contact adhesive, or maybe a little bit of foam tack or something, just smeared on the back side. But I will lay in the new wires for the lights in alongside the existing wires, and then we'll take them on out to the tip. And there appears to be two spars that come out to here. One comes out to here and one comes out to here, and they appear to be carbon fiber, but you can see the slots. Hopefully you can see the slots there, and that'll be something I have to be aware of to keep out of that area with the wires when I'm making this troughs out to the tip here. So have to be careful with that, but other than that, shouldn't be too difficult. Like I said, I'm going to tap into the blue box via the on-wing control boards. So on the front side of the wing, let me get this here. Here's the back side. And the forward side. So this is the forward, this is where the ribbon cables go in. And on the back side are where all your servo connections are at. Well, you can see those extra pin outs on the right side. There are 2 pins. Those are for your lights. And that is where I will be tapping in the nav lights to use the ribbon cables to bring the get the power out to the nav lights. They do not have a strobe light out of position. They do have landing lights. So this same board was apparently used in the T-39 or the L-39, and it's one way to get the landing lights to come on and off. But I'm not using landing lights. I'm using strobes. So I'll have to take an extension up through here and take them up with the ribbon cables up to the blue box itself. So that's next. So next step, hopefully, we'll have the troughs widened out a little bit and the test fitting the light cables, and we'll go from there. All right, tip tanks are coming along. I have now completed one. I will just fill in a little bit around the edges there where the wire solder joint pushed the foam a little bit, but I'll take care of that and clean it up, and then just paint right up to the edge. But this is where it starts. Like, I have removed the foam where I wanted the lens to fit. This is, of course, the A10 lens. The lens itself has a spot for the nav light built into it, and that is the forward position here. That's built in, and this large portion on the back is just an open area. So I went ahead and notched the plastic on both sides, and then went ahead and relieved a little bit on the inside of the plastic to allow that second light to snap up in there. And so now it has two separate, let's see if I can get a better look for you here. So it has a little bit better look to it. So the second light now is in place behind it. The rear position is the strobe. The front position will be the nav light. And I've already tested the first one, and it actually works pretty good. I'm going to get this one in there, get it glued in place, and the tanks actually will be completed and done, except for a little bit of spackle and fairing that'll be done, but they're pretty well completed. Next step is to pull the wires and through the slots on the wing and continue on from there. But should have the operating here not too distant future. It's looking pretty good. Starting to pull the wires. I brought the wires from the light assembly straight back into the opening for the wing, and on the wingtip area there, it put it right about where the spar is at. Comes out there. Didn't want to drill a hole anywhere next to the spar, so I went ahead and ran the wires forward about 3/4 of an inch and went ahead and drilled the hole in the wingtip. I found nothing behind it except foam, which was good. The spar runs basically straight from the tip here on the forward edge and goes back straight through. You can see one of the holes there and another hole there. It appears to be a straight shot for that spar to come all the way to the tip here. So went back about halfway between the screws, just about I'm trying to think here, I think it's 28 30 seconds if I remember right, and took a drill, and basically 1/4 inch drill, and brought it in to the depth that would bring it to the second panel line area here, and stopped just before that second panel line, and just cut a small circle and brought the wires to that, brought it up and out, and now I'm just going to follow that forward panel line to tie into the existing troughs and take them on over to the center, where I will then tap into the PC boards for the nav lights where the ribbon cables attach, and I'll run the other cable for the nav light, the strobe light, up and out of the wing and into the fuselage. So first things first, this is ready to pull the rest of the way on and get this one attached. So I'll plug it in and get the screws in and continue on to the other side. The nav strobe installation continues in part 2 with a dual nose gear light installation covered in part 3. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.